Hello everybody, this is Victoria Skirbo speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts, and I'm going to do a tarot reading for the month of September 2018, and I'm going to have this reading be about what is going on in the United States for the month of August. And this time I'm going to be using the Wildwood Tarot deck. And this is the deck here. I feel as though the energy of this deck works well with the energy of September. The sun being in Virgo and then in Libra. Very earthy deck. There's a lot of imagery. Sort of pagan imagery, and at this time of harvest I think that it's an appropriate deck, and we'll see what comes out. We'll see how this works out. Okay, I'm going to do a Celtic cross like I do every month, and the first card that comes up is the Nine of Bows. This is an interesting card because we see this wild man, I guess you could say. In this deck, bows are wands. And so if wands have to do with fire, it has to do with ideas, it has to do with action. This is the Nine of Wands in other decks. And so if we look at it from the perspective of the Rider-Waite deck, where we have the man with the bandage on his head, and he's got 8 wands behind him, and he's holding the 9th. This is somebody who's battle weary, okay? And we are, in fact, this country anyway, in the United States, somewhat battle weary, so it kind of goes along with that. And this person looks a little mad like crazy mad, okay? So that's the present situation. We're kind of all a little bit crazy mad, right? Okay, so here's the challenge card. This is the Six of Vessels in this deck, that's cups. And here we have this beautiful picture of a beautiful sort of grotto where we have water coming from the earth. Traditionally, these were places of holy places, holy wells, the Chalice Well, Lourdes, these grottos where the water, the pure water comes out of the earth. It's very feminine, a mothering place, a place where civilizations can sort of grow around, right? I mean, how can you have a civilization without water? And water symbolically is emotion and feeling, and so how can you have community without feeling? How can we connect without connecting from a feeling place? And so this is the challenge. How do we connect from a feeling place? The Six of Cups in the Rider-Waite deck deals with nostalgia around childhood and just nostalgia around the past. And we have a nostalgia right now around the past. Even the whole idea of making America great again, whether or not America was ever great in the way that these great again people seem to want to remember it. A lot of it is our wishes and our dreams, what we think there was. A lot of that comes from childhood, and some of us have had wonderful childhoods, and some of us have not had wonderful childhoods. And some of us, because we haven't had wonderful childhood, creates this alternate reality. But I think the challenge here in this card is, how do we connect on an emotional level? How do we remember that we're family? How do we move out of the madness into the peace and serenity of the water and of the community? And you can see that this water comes out of this hill, And there's all these trees here, sort of like the idea of community and everybody working together. Okay, so that's the challenge. How do we work together? What's at the root of this reading? This is the, they call it the Hooded Man. This is the Hermit card. I actually really love this card in this deck. I think it's just so beautiful. We have the Hermit there, and his robes, in his robes he has holly berries on his robes, so pretty. And he holds the lamp, right? The lamp of inner light. This is about retreating and finding your inner light, sort of going up to the mountain, understanding. It's a 9 vibration, it's about endings, and so there's an understanding around the endings that are occurring right now. And then we have right here, chit-chatting with this hooded figure, is a little wren. And wrens are, I love wrens actually, they're really, really tiny and they're really, really loud. And so this is about, the core of it is how do we find inner peace and yet have our voices be heard, no matter how small we feel. Okay, that's at the core of the reading. That's really the question at hand. You know, despite the madness and then the longing for something that may or may not have ever been, we have this need to go deep within ourselves, find our inner light, and then speak it out, no matter how small we are. This is the past. The past is the 7 of Wands here, or the 7 of Bows, and it's called Clearance. And this is a picture of all the bows and the implements that have been broken and discarded. And so perhaps this is about, you know, putting down our arms, or looking at the fight, looking at the way that we have expressed ourselves in the past, and perhaps it is no longer needed in that way. 7s are about analysis and understanding. 7 is also a time of rest. And so perhaps we need to put down our arms. But this is in the past, so this could be a past realization. And you know, this is, I'm doing this for the United States, but you could certainly apply this to your own life. I mean, the macrocosm reflects the microcosm. So on a certain level, we're all sort of going through this personally as well as collectively. So this is the card that is in the sky position, above the present and challenge position. I always see this as, well, it can be a number of things, but oftentimes it's messages from Spirit. And here we have the Queen of Stones. Okay, this is actually the Queen of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite or any of the other decks that use Pentacles, Cups, Swords, and Wands. And it's the she-bear. And she is coming out of her lair, and she is looking out over the horizon, and she is fierce and she is protective, and she's a woman. So the energy above us, the energy from Spirit, is for us to protect ourselves, to be ferocious when it's necessary, be loving when it's necessary. And you know, she's in a cave, and that sort of goes along with this, you know, sort of the base card there, the Hermit card, going back, you know, going into the cave, or going up to the top of the mountain, or going into the hut. In fact, it almost looks like this, where this Hermit is in this card, is sort of like underground. They built a door either in the base of a tree or the base of a cave. I'm not sure, you can't really tell. And here we are coming out of that, and she is up high. And so we're required to not only be ferocious, not only be nurturing, not only be loving, protective, but we're also being required to keep a higher view, a higher perspective. And because we're dealing with stones or pentacles, we are being asked to keep it practical. So we have to always have a practical eye in how to, and that's what Spirit's requiring, or suggesting, I guess we could say, for us. And yet we do have protection. So understand that we are protected through this. This is the immediate future. This is the Page of Bows. Okay, this is the Page of Wands in the other decks, and it's a Stoat, which is a weasel, by the way. So weasels are very intelligent, stealthy, and weasels do like to steal things. So we need to be, perhaps they're asking us to be a little weaselly in that we need to be aware that not everybody is of good intention. This could also indicate that there's a weasel out there, and not to poo-poo weasels, because every creature is a blessing to us. But interestingly enough, we have the water here again. See the water? Very similar to the water that we see in this card, which was the challenge card. And so we just need to keep our eyes open and our ears open, and again know that not everybody is telling the truth right now. The other thing I want to say is, just as a card that is connected to the Page of Wands, there are messages. So keep your ears open for the messages. That's what that says. So that is pretty much the immediate environment, sort of a little bit into the future as the month progresses. This is how other people see us. This is the Eight of Arrows. This is, in other decks, the Eight of Swords. We are inundated with challenges. This person is moving through a very stark, cold landscape, and there's all these arrows that are falling around them. These are arrows that have been shot at them. So this is sort of it's looked at as if we're being attacked from outside, and this person has a very grim look on their face. But they have their light. They have their inner light in front of them. They have the lantern that's moving them through this very stark and unforgiving landscape. And they have survived. They have gotten to the other side. And so people do see us as put upon. Again, we have a stream. So this person is following the stream. Water is about emotions. It's also about intuition. There's a lot of there's a lot of water flowing through these cards. It's almost as if we have to follow our own intuition and follow the water. And this card in the Rider-Waite deck is the Eight of Swords, and in that deck we have a woman, and she's got a blindfold, and she's tied up, and there's all these swords, and yet she has found a way to move through the swords. It can be the imprisonment of the mind as well. But in this case, I would say that we're being seen as if we are being attacked. Yeah, okay. Our domestic situation. This is the Stag card in the Rider-Waite. It's the Strength card. And so our domestic situation is that we need to stand strong. We need to be sure. We need to overcome our lower nature, connect it to the higher nature. This is a shaman, and he has a tree, and it's the tree of life. We have the roots on the bottom and the branches on the top. But if you turned it around, it would kind of look the same. The idea of as above, so below, right? And it is an 8 vibration, which is a karmic vibration. And so we are in a karmic time in this country in September. Our hopes and fears. Death. This is called the Journey card. We have a moon we have some crows. We have a skeleton of actually of this, right? The stag. See, there's the stag and there's the skeleton. Stags are about stamina as well. Okay, so there's a sense of stamina. So the Death card is the hope and fear card. There are some people who just want it over. They just want it to be over, and a new sort of something new coming in. And then there are those who are afraid, as like, yeah, well, the devil that you know sometimes is better than the devil that you don't. But this is really a card of release, and so there are those of us who want release, and there are those of us who are afraid of that. And certainly there's a fear of the unknown, what's coming next. This is the Outcome card. This is the Ace of Pentacles, or the Ace of Stones. And here we have a beautiful standing stone in a field. And this card is called the Fountain, the Foundation of Life. The Ace of Pentacles is about starting from ground zero. It's about rebuilding. And this is the outcome. And the outcome is about rebuilding from the ground up as things fall apart. And that's in the astrology as well. And when I do my astrology in Kabbalah, we'll be talking about that energy. So I'm going to pull 3 more cards to see if I get a major arcana, and I did. I got this. This is called Ancestor. We have another shaman with a deer's head on it. This is the Hierophant card, and this is about tradition. But in this deck, it's about more ancient traditions. It's not, the Hierophant is sometimes the government, sometimes it's, when you read it, sometimes it's the church. In this deck, it's about things much more ancient than that, things of the earth, and natural law, and understanding natural law. And that is the way forward. The way forward is to live, in America they keep talking about the rule of law, the rule of law, the rule of law. Well, yes, but that is men's laws. This is talking about natural law, which trumps, pardon the, I don't think I'll be able to use that word again. Natural law, I can't, trumps, that's it. Trumps man-made law. If our man-made laws are in alignment with natural law, then those are the laws that we go by. And I think that, there's a lot of the Constitution that is based on natural law. In fact, I believe the Constitution was based on the Iroquois. I think that, I think it was the Iroquois had that was their philosophy, and we sort of borrowed it. After we probably killed them all. Oh, the karma. Anyway. Alright, so there's that. Now I'm going to just see what's at the bottom of the deck. It's kind of like the underlying, maybe hidden stuff. Okay. This is called the Blasted Oak card, and it's actually the Tower card. And so this is about, September is about the destruction and disruption of all false personas to get to the truth of who we are. We are spirit. The truth is that we cannot continue going the way we're going. We have to connect to if we want to survive this, we have to connect to our common good. We need to be loving to each other. We need to work together. And we need to, those who are high up, to a certain extent, need to come tumbling down. And so this is a pretty profound reading. but it's a hopeful reading, because we can survive this and thrive through this. First we have to survive it, then we get to thrive it, right? But it has to be in alignment with natural law. It has to be in alignment with divine guidance. It has to be in alignment with working together. So that's the reading for the United States for September. Wow, pretty intense. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you find this helpful as you move through September. We are protected, but we have to protect ourselves. We have to keep our ears open. We have to be strong. We have to be rooted in what is real and what is true and what is practical and what comes from the deepest part of ourselves. This is a time of spiritual initiation. It's a time of maturing. It's a time of stop being a bunch of babies, really. Not that I'm not a baby on occasion. No judgment here. You know, I won't throw a stone on that one. But we got to grow up. We have to start acting like we have to start acting responsible to each other, responsible to the earth, responsible to all the creatures that live on this earth with us. Otherwise, we're going to be gone. It's that simple. And I mean, like, we as in humans, because if you don't live within in harmony with nature, you know, Gaia is an organism, and if you have in your own body an unruly cellular cluster that's killing you, also known as cancer, the body will find a way to protect itself. So it sounds dire, but it's not. It's really not. Walk out, go out, take your shoes off, as long as it's safe. Depends on where you live or how cold it is. Walk in the grass. Find a little patch of grass where you can ground yourself, and you know, play with your animals. Go out into the forest or into a park and watch the birds. They will show us the way. Nature has a way of supporting us whether we're paying attention or not. Have yourself a great day. Have yourself a great month. If you enjoy these readings, let me know. You can leave comments below. You can subscribe to my channel. I do these once a month and sometimes on special occasions. And then if there's something you want me to do a card reading about, you can leave that in the comments as well. And I will see what I can do about that. Pretty good about, you know, taking requests. So, okay, I'll see you again next month. It's been a pleasure. Ciao.